Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are out there in the world. Thank you for joining us in this the kickoff for this webinar series that we're launching this month for a series that we call Works with DW Spectrum, which is our Digital Watchdog's IP video management software, as most of you know. To start things off, we invited a company called VisionLabs and their Luna facial recognition platform on to discuss how it works with DW Spectrum. Some of you may recognize the names. Back when we used to do trade shows, last year at ISC, we had the VisionLab product up and running pre DW Spectrum 4.0 release. And so with 4.0 and the impending release of 4.1, the VisionLabs platform has now become fully functional within DW Spectrum. So to kick things off, I'm going to, Michael, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So let's go ahead and get started, and you can tell us a little bit about VisionLabs, the company, please.
All right, so we're VisionLabs. We are based in the Netherlands. VisionLabs, we are a well-known company in the facial recognition space, and also computer vision. So we were founded in 2012, and around Eastern Europe. We started spreading out over the past 8 years. So now we're operating in more than 40 countries on more than 1,500 cameras. No, 15,000, right?
It's 1.5 million, but
1.5 million cameras. There you go. So we are a top performer in the National Institute of Standards and Technology facial recognition vendor test. That's an ongoing test that happens every few months or so, where they evaluate all of the facial recognition engines on the market, and anybody that wants to be tested in this standardized test can be, and we very regularly are top 3. All right. So what Luna does, we have 2 primary products, the Luna SDK and the Luna platform. So we develop a computer vision engine, and with technology partners like Digital Watchdog, we become a full solution. So the Luna SDK is a C++ based SDK. The Luna platform is a RESTful API. All the functions and modules within both of those are totally flexible. So if you just want face detection, you can have just face detection. If you just want one-to-one matching, which would be verifying one face against one face, you can have just that part. So we are very flexible. Typically, with DW Spectrum, we just sell the Luna platform, and that's what the plugin for the DW Spectrum is based on. So the engine, some of the features we have are facial recognition, one-to-one, which again, facial verification of one person, one-to-N, so that's searching a database for a person in front of the camera per se. End-to-N, which is searching several faces to a database of several faces. We also do age detection, gender detection, emotion detection. Those are all present in the DW Spectrum plugin. Some things that aren't integrated yet are race detection, human detection re-identification, and vehicle detection and model classification. So those are features that are present in our engine, but aren't working with the DW Spectrum. All right.
Okay.
So what we really separate ourselves on, there are 150 companies that submit algorithms to the NIST test every few months. So every few months, the NIST is testing all of these different algorithms. So it's hard to really stay on top of that. The NIST, the report is really long. It's not a lot of fun to read. It kind of sucks, to be honest. But if you were able to get through it, each report, there are 4 reports in total within the one overarching report. Each one of those reports is about 200 pages. It's really dense stuff. If you're able to get through that, you'll have a really good understanding of the facial recognition landscape as it stands today. And so where we really separate ourselves is that the product that we submit to the NIST, that's the final product. That is the enterprise product that you're going to get. Some companies submit research algorithms that you're not going to ever see because that's just so that they can perform well in the NIST test. We submit our enterprise algorithm, and so what you see is what you get on that test. We're the only algorithm with sublinear search rate, and that gives us no accuracy degradation. So essentially, for another company, you might find that searching through a database of 100 faces is going to take 100 milliseconds. Searching through a database of 1,000 faces is going to take 1,000 milliseconds. With us, it's a lot closer to a logarithmic. So if you search through 100 faces, that might take 100 milliseconds. You search through 1,000 faces, going to take 200 milliseconds. And so that can really, really come in handy if you've got a very large database, say 1 million, 5 million, 10 million faces in your database that you need to keep up on. And it's going to just be a lot more efficient and quicker.
Yeah, let me jump in here for just a second, right? It's Anton here speaking. So when it comes to matching, right, the NIST basically benchmarks you against 1.6 million faces in the database for the matching speed. And in our case, it is 33 milliseconds search speed itself. Compared to the closer competitors, we are 85 times faster. And the problem is we are using this sublinear search approach with a lot of interesting stuff on top of it, so that in our largest implementations, like 40 million, 50 million, 200 million faces, even 1.2 billion faces, we do have this kind of implementations. Obviously, it's not 1.2 billion unique persons. It's the aggregated amount of faces throughout the large installation of cameras. But still, even at this 1.2 billion face templates or descriptors, our matching speed is less than 1 second. While everyone else, and we see it from the project, will be failing badly even at, let's say, 10 million faces when they have like 90 seconds matching. And what kind of real time you're talking about if it's 90 seconds, right? Go on, Mike.
Yeah. So additionally, our software can run the cloud, it can run virtually, it can be containerized environment. There's no limits on where you can put this thing. You can put it directly on the camera if you want. It can run on the edge, all sorts of stuff. And it's never going to be sacrificing any kind of performance. So it is the most efficient engine to run for video. So other facial recognition engines, like they perform a lot better on pictures, and you're not going to get pictures out in the wild. So for example, with the DW Spectrum, you're going to get a video. You're not going to get a mugshot of somebody to match against. So it's got to be good on video, and we are very, very efficient when it comes to analyzing video results. In terms of, testing out the marketplace, it's very important to test as many facial recognition vendors as you can. So when it comes to DW Spectrum, I know that we aren't the only facial recognition company that works with them, but I'm sure that you'll find that if you test all of them, we are the best. And you can always ask any facial recognition provider to provide their software for free for you to test it. And if it's not free, chances are probably not that good. And so what you also want to do is you want to test multiple engines on the same data. So you want to test several facial recognition engines on the same data set to see how they all perform comparatively. And yeah, that's as far as testing goes. It's very important. And I'm sure if you test VisionLabs, pretty much going to be impressed. So the benefits of integrating Luna with the DW Spectrum are that this is a complete and ready end-to-end solution for IP-based facial recognition. Now you can also add access control, retail analytics, all sorts of other things on top of that, but this is ready to go. You could, once you have all of the software downloaded, you could set this plugin up 30 minutes or less, and then you've just got facial recognition ready to go. So this has the power of two scalable platforms, both the Luna platform and the DW Spectrum VMS. And that creates one application that's super flexible and super easy to use while also being very, very powerful. There's unmatched efficiency with the VisionLabs Luna platform, especially when it comes to running computer vision-based systems in video. So the integration here is pretty complex and the architecture is really solid, especially compared to everyone else out there, every other facial recognition company out there that works with DW Spectrum. I'm sure that the architecture is not that exciting in terms of the end user, but for system integrators, that is very important because it makes it a lot easier to use if there's not a lot of clunky malarkey going on. So essentially, the DW Spectrum has incorporated several Luna SDK modules that are responsible for face detection, tracking, best shot selection, and real-time display of data in the interface, which is something that you're about to see in a second as soon as we get through the talking part of this presentation. So the Luna platform is always running in the background of the same server that the DW Spectrum is running on. So right now I have it running on my laptop, which honestly isn't powerful enough to handle it, but it can manage. So
the big thing being that once it's set up, once Luna is set up, Spectrum becomes the primary interface for all the user interaction. So it's not like the user has to manage two different interfaces or learn two different interfaces. It's all self-contained within that Spectrum interface.
Yeah, you see, we spent a lot of time actually designing this whole user experience and allowing the basic settings behind the very complex logic of all the face detection, best shot selection, matching algorithms running in the background to be managed through the DW Spectrum interface. And Mike will be able to show it. So what he said before is like, you are spending more time downloading the package itself than actually getting it to work. This is the reality here.
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the demo. So Mike, I'm going to make you the presenter for this.
So I'm just gonna hop right into it here. Go. All right. So I'm just using my webcam for this.
Very cool.
There we go. So here, as you can see on the screen, got my name because I'm entered into the database, age estimation, gender estimation, which is correct, and an emotion estimation, which is also correct. I'm feeling very neutral right now. You can handle several faces at once. So we've got guy over here, lady over here. We have other estimations such as eyeglasses. So for him it's true, for her it's non-existent. So these people aren't in the database. They don't have a name. I could enter a name for them here, right-clicking on the person over here in the Objects tab. So I don't know this guy's name. Let's call him Greg. So now we have the person created. Greg pops back up on the screen, and then we have Greg. So creating a person in this interface is very simple, really easy to do. You could even go back, say, all these yellow bits down here on the bottom, that's when a face is indicated or has been detected. So that's me from earlier today. All right. You can also go through and search. So I'm going to search for myself. It'll show all of the times that I was in front of the camera down here. You can also search for attributes such as male or female. So not many females in the office today, just me. So there we have earlier, testing this out. Choose again. And there we go. Additionally, you don't need the entire face to get this going. So let's say I walk into a store and I'm wearing sunglasses, it still pick me up and it'll tell me that I'm wearing them. Additionally, given the current state of things, can also pick people up wearing masks and identify them no problem. There I am, Mike, 25, male. I guess I'm sad when I'm in. So that's just some of the basic functionalities of it. Here, all the controls done here in the System Administration tab, with the Plugins tab becoming available once you move our plugin folder into the files of the Spectrum. So here you can set the list ID that you'll be using, the host of the Luna platform. So the Luna platform is running on a VM, and you put in the IP address of that virtual machine right here, and then it knows to connect to Luna. Also got a Luna token here. You can do all sorts of stuff down here, evaluating eyes, mouth. Acceptable quality. This is the percentage of your face shot that is similar. Okay, let me reword this. So the current image it is processing compared to the image in the database, that's above 85% similarity score, then it'll match it. You can set this to whatever you want, B99, B99, anything above really 90 is pretty much guaranteed unless it's identical twins, but nobody can really identify identical twins, and that is a very rare case, so not really applicable. Additionally, you could just select an area. So whenever my face goes up in this corner of the screen, that'll be down here in yellow. So there with my face, in this corner, identified. All right. So additionally, you can turn this on pretty much any camera. So I've got a little camera right here. Oh, black and white. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. All you do is right click on the camera stream, plugins, enable, good to go. And there I am.
So that was in your, sorry, that was in your camera settings. So you right clicked on the camera, you went into the camera settings, and once you have a plugin installed, so once that plugin is installed in the system, you can apply it to particular cameras using that enable button in the plugins tab of the camera settings.
Yeah.
That's how you apply it to the particular camera in the system. Got it.
And we've been working with digital Watchdog cameras for a little over 2 years, and the results are just incredible. You guys make great cameras. I remember at ISC West last year, there was a PTZ that was running our plugin, and it was a lot of fun to play with. I was actually at the booth. Even the PTZ around, some people around.
Yes, trade shows were fun. Those were the days.
Yeah. All right. Additionally, what else do I have here? So I'm going to assume everyone's familiar with Spectrum, so I'm not going to really.
Yeah, just. I'll just touch on it. I'll just touch on it briefly. That what Mike is showing on that right panel. So in 4.0, the right panel was redesigned. So when you slide out that right panel, now you have things like motion and notifications and bookmarks and so forth can all be brought up in that right panel. When you have a plugin installed, and only when you have a plugin installed will you see that object tab, which is the icon to the furthest right, which associates with those plugins. And that's what's giving the information coming from the video analytics solution in this case, in the VisionLabs product, is how you'll get that up. So you won't necessarily see an objects tab until you've set up the Luna plugin. Now, once it's in, and I think what you were just getting to, Mike, sorry to interrupt your presentation, but once it's in, you can get into the, you can go in and start creating rules with those, correct? I think that's where you were going.
Like, my server went down.
Okay. Sorry, I heard me talking.
No problem. But yeah, essentially you can go into the objects tab and set rules for events, such as like when a face is recognized, send a notification on the screen, or if a face is not recognized, send an email to somebody, you know, send an HTTP request, have a text layover on any camera screen, all sorts of stuff.
So you added Greg into the system, and so could you create a rule at that point that if Greg were to reappear, you could have video pop up using the alarm layout?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can have it for just specifically Greg instead of a face being recognized. I want to say that we had something for just, you know, if a male pops up or something, we could even do that. But yeah.
So any of the attributes as well, or most of the attributes?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. So let's let you reboot your server or reset your server, and I will make myself the presenter again. Okay. So just some remarks about, you had some final remarks in here in terms of VisionLabs, the company, and you know, we can always swing it back to you if you want to reset your server.
Yeah, okay. Anton, do you want to take this? Well,
Yeah.
I'm working over here.
Yeah, you, Patrick, what you actually want to hear from me here?
Final remarks.
Final. Yeah, guys. You see the reality about face recognition today is that there is a zillion of face recognition vendors, one screaming their best after another. And the only way how we can win through the competition today is to make available the Luna platform plugin together with DW Spectrum for free for the testing POC phase. I don't mean just SI partner side of things. I also mean the POC at the customer sites. Because I think that the quality will speak for itself, and that's why we are making the testing, implementation, integration, getting to know the product as easy as possible in our case. So I encourage everyone to just start playing around with the system and yeah, just see for yourself. Comparing it with other vendors, I don't care. I know I'll win. So making the product free for the POC and testing phase is one of the key advantages, right? What else? So in terms of the company itself, we are growing rapidly. I joined the company 3 years ago. Since that time, we have done like hundreds of projects all over the world in like more than 40 countries. Major markets for us are in the order of revenue APAC, then comes Middle East, then comes Americas, how I call them. Mike is relocating back to the US this year. Most probably he will be based in the New Jersey area. This will be the office setup for VisionLabs in North America. We already have an office in Singapore and we have an office in Dubai. And besides the North America headquarters with Mike, we'll also be establishing an office in Tokyo and Mexico City. So in terms of the product, it's stable. It's not version number 1 or version number 1.1. It's out there for 8 years. It's a polished one. In terms of the reputation, I don't think you'll hear any bad things about VisionLabs around. In terms of the company and its stability, we are a profitable business. We are organically growing. We don't require any kind of immediate investment for us to keep us afloat. So I think VisionLabs and DW obviously are the right partner to engage in a long-term business, especially for face or any type of other analytics. Because right now I think the time is coming for the US to enter this area as well. Because yeah, we all know that in Asia, this is a welcome technology. Middle East likes cool stuff, so they are spending a lot of money on it. In the US, obviously, there is a problem with the legal vacuum of regulating face recognition, and obviously more blockages now in terms of the perception of getting some reputational risks, especially in the commercial sector, when companies will or may start using face recognition. But yeah, especially with the virus situation today, more and more requests we are having from the US-based customer for the face recognition technology, detecting people wearing masks or not, and stuff like this. So I think it will penetrate the US market anyways, sooner or later.
Yep, we see that too. So, ready for some questions there, Anton?
I've actually
we got a couple.
Yeah.
Got it up, back up again? You wanna continue what you were showing before I interrupted you? I'll make you the presenter again. Sorry about that. Try not to interrupt. Coming back at you. There you go.
So, yeah, he was talking about the motion detection. I'm showing it off right now. This isn't us. This is somebody else. But you could just like select an area, motion detection in that area. The red marks indicate motion in this area. Or the red marks generally indicate motion. Okay, back to the fun stuff. So you can right-click on the Objects tab over here, Event Rules, add an event. So this is going to be an analytics event. When it starts or stops, you know, if you stop seeing a recognized face, this is when it starts at, let's do the webcam. And so you can do face detection. That's any face is detected. Face not recognized is face detected, not in the database. For example, if you have a whitelist area, someone passes by, they're not recognized, you want to be alerted. Or if you want face recognition, so this person in the database, good to go. Caption contains, let's say, Greg, because we wanted to make the rule about Greg. So we can set a bookmark, camera output. If you have a camera that makes sound, two-way camera. Camera recording, HTTP request, PTZ preset, play sound, email, send a notification, show a text overlay, speak, write to log, all of this. And you want to just show an alarm layout, right?
Yeah, that would get it to pop up on somebody's screen if Greg comes in the building, somebody wants to know about it.
Greg's big trouble. And so we'll do that no more than once per minute to all the administrators, force the alarm layout.
So that's so that would be basically anybody with that user role of an administrator, but you could choose from there, you could choose specific users. There's a button down in the lower left there that or user roles, anybody with the user role or specific users in the system to have it pop up on their screen.
Okay, so let's bring Greg back. And there you go.
There you go. So I also noticed in the timeline, we use red for our smart search and blue for the bookmarks, but there's a yellow color down there. So that's when the objects are detected in the timeline there.
Yeah, that's the analytics events, each one of them.
So it's all incorporated there. So one of the questions that came in, and I think you showed it, but just to kind of reemphasize it, all of the metadata there in terms of your name, your age, gender, emotion, that is the search field in that object becomes the ability to search. So again, you could type in Greg and bring up, yeah, disgust, sad. Show me all the sad people today. Yeah, so you can kind of see that all of that data down there is all it's capable of being searched right within the Spectrum interface and pull back those results in there. Okay. Another question that came up, and somebody was asking about the mask. Is there a attribute for masks yet?
Yes.
Yeah. The thing is in the SDK itself and in the module specifically responsible for detecting face and analyzing its appearance, we do have an occlusion detector that can tell you whether it's a mask or it's a scarf or whatever thing. We just need to understand that this is face. That's all. I don't know whether it's integrated with the DW Spectrum already, but the system itself has this opportunity.
Okay, great. So, anything else you want to show us in the demo there, Michael?
Yeah, this is kind of cool. You can hover over a face, and then you track it as it moves. You don't move the mouse. Oop. So like that. That if I move, the face is still highlighted.
Yeah, it's actually a very interesting thing if you are starting to monitor a specific person in a crowd, like during the expo or in a crowded area. It's not as fun as Mike is showing it right now, but it's actually a very useful. It's actually a very useful feature. And when we were doing the integration itself, the trickiest part was actually syncing the processing of video frames by our face detection and best shot selection engine to really make it real time. Because you always see some kind of delay when it comes to displaying the face detection and tracking results, but not in this particular case, because we just spent, I think, 1 year for this particular feature alone. And then it allowed, obviously, doing this fun stuff with hover up and yeah.
Does it follow in terms of? I mean, if you have it turned on, if you have the plugin turned on for multiple cameras, and you're doing it's locked on in that tracking, would it basically follow the person between those two locations, those two views?
I don't think this setting is in the VMS interface, but in our logic of system working, Mike already said that we do have some things like human re-identification, and it's the same concept. We keep on tracking the face across multiple camera sources. It just has to appear once.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem with near-infrared camera here is that the engine does not consume the near-infrared channel. That's the problem. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, the other one's not working.
Yeah, and funny thing is, like, usually there is a big problem trying to cross-match faces, especially when they were enrolled using a regular RGB image, like a color image, and trying to match it from infrared camera, black and white image. But this will not be the case with VisionLabs engine. And I think it's one of the more important features of this kind of cross-domain matching. This is how we call it. Being able to recognize faces robustly, no matter whether they come in a black and white image or RGB image.
So I'm just showing this is the Luna platform interface. So you can pretty much just submit any kind of face here, and it'll be recognized. We have one guy who submitted a picture from 1998. Still picks him up every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, we were talking with Mike just a couple of hours before the broadcast. Like, obviously, the interface of Luna platform with all the advanced settings and applying additional use cases to the system, connecting the Events and Statistics Manager API from our Luna platform to any external system is all available. And you can open, obviously, the Luna platform interface from within the DW Spectrum here. So it's very easy to both manage the system from the DW Spectrum interface itself, as well as use a web page, which is a gateway to our API, more advanced functions and additional types of functions that you may need. You can do it now, since this function of displaying a web page in a DW Spectrum interface is available, right? So you can do it too. And the way how we basically sell the system itself is that within an organization, you may have a use case for face recognition starting with CCTV, but you also have a case for access control or specific devices. You can have KYC digital onboarding functions and stuff. For example, in one bank in the Middle East, we started with KYC digital onboarding use case, and now we are using the same Luna platform system for access control scenario. So in our case, since we are not tying the system performance and licensing mechanism to the per channel model, we are tying it to the database size model. For us, it doesn't matter whether you are using it to connect 1 million cameras or you are using it to stream the incoming images from the border control, or you are using it for whatever other purpose you are doing it. It's just having the system available for any type of use case you can think about. That's all.
Yeah, I think that came up a couple of times in the questions already. People are asking as far as like for instance, rules to release doors that are integrated with DW. So, I mean, that's just a function of the rules engine that Mike showed you in terms of, you know, that a face is recognized from that analytic event, and then the output to that could be, you know, from a standpoint of you could do an HTTP request to send it to an access control platform that will receive HTTP requests. For instance, you know, something like a Pro Data Key would receive an HTTP request that you could then have the door open based off of that facial recognition. If you had the door wired to be on an output, a hard relay output, you could also trip the output based off of that. I mean, we don't really get into access controls in digital, you know, from the digital watchdog standpoint, but you could certainly send information received from the Luna platform to other platforms using that HTTP request function in the rules engine there. So just wanted to jump into the quick questions here. We've got, you know, we're about 10, 15 minutes away from the top of the hour. So big questions were basically on the system requirements needed to run the platform, even just minimal system requirements. You've mentioned as far as it can run on, it can run in the cloud, it can run on, you know, all the way down to the camera. But just in terms of some idea, is it a Windows only? Is it the Linux operating system? What operating systems does it run on? What are the minimum system requirements?
Yeah, okay. So for the systems requirements, I think it will be the best. It will be best for us to provide the calculator to you and the audience, obviously, right? In the calculator, you can actually see everything from the face detection stage to the face recognition stage, thoroughly written down for you to calculate the final requirements to the system. When it comes to the operating systems themselves, the plugin today is basically supported to run in both Windows and Ubuntu, just like the DW Spectrum does today. So I don't see any problem here. When we run in virtual environments, obviously, you know that there is a big problem using GPU in such environments. And in many of our implementations, we win projects simply because we may not require GPU to run. If you have GPU, you obviously can have a bigger load to a single instance, but in our case, we are not GPU hungry that much. Yeah, so for calculator, let me try and launch an example here on my PC. Let me open the spreadsheet here.
While you're setting that up, just in terms of some other questions that have come through, in terms, you know, people are asking, is there a trial, free trial for the plugin? Yes. Yes, there is. They can contact Mike correctly. Correct.
Yes, sure. Yeah, yeah. So I'm ready with the.
Okay, I'm going to pass it over to you. Make you the presenter when you're ready.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, let me close the messages from my wife first. Yeah. She lost me here. Okay, so I can present now.
Okay, hang on just a second. Go to meetings not working with me. Come on.
Okay.
Mark, if you out there, could you try passing the presenter role to Anton, please? Sorry to put you on the spot. For some reason, my computer's not letting me do it.
Patrick, do you want to see if I can do it?
Yeah, if you can, Paul, that'd be great.
What am I looking for? I'm looking for Anton. Anton right there, right?
At the top there.
Well, Anton already is the presenter.
Okay.
Yeah. He said as a presenter already, so.
Okay.
He's good to go. He just had to close the messages from his wife.
Yes, so, okay. Yeah, so you see the calculator is very simple actually, right? Let's put it 1,000 cameras. And we basically separate 3 types of use case. You have a public place when you have a lot of faces inside the frame. You have a private place, which is mainly like an office or something. Then you have access control where you don't need to send every face for recognition, right? Based on these scenarios, you can estimate the hardware. You have the number of faces in a database. Let's make it, I don't know, 1 million. Days to store, faces 100. Okay, let's make it 100. Yeah, so we have 1,000 cameras. We have 619 CPU cores. So it's like 10 servers, right? And yeah, so basically it's 30 servers. Average price per server is, I don't know, $7,500, right? For 1,000 cameras. I don't think that anyone can get any close to this number of cores, the cost per server here, right, for 1,000 cameras. Because what you hear about face recognition is that it's very expensive to create the IT infrastructure for this kind of systems, especially in large-scale implementations.
Which is true for everyone else.
Yes, that's correct.
So how many pixels do you need for detection? Is there a? I mean, I know you showed in the plugin where you have that the percentage of.
Okay.
But what's what's a guide for that?
Yes. So you have to separate 2 things. You have to talk about face detection and also face recognition, because for face detection, the detector algorithm itself will work on faces of size of even 16 by 16 pixels. When it comes to face recognition, to a database of, let's say, up to 1 million faces, 50 by 50 pixels will be more than enough. When it comes to millions of faces, 96 by 96 pixels is better. But yeah, also one thing that Mike didn't touch during his presentation is that one of the bigger problems for face recognition vendors is that one vendor works on Caucasian faces well, but fails on Asian faces. All the other face recognition vendors fall on the black faces, but that's not the case for VisionLabs. There is an official report on that, also published by NIST. It was released in 2019, December, I think, and it basically says that VisionLabs is the only engine in the world which works on every race.
Okay. So again, and just some of the things that you just said, just to kind of reemphasize, because there's still some questions coming in. You don't the pricing model. You don't charge by the number of cameras. It's more about the database size or the number of faces. Is really how your license model works, right?
Yes. Yes, because you see, the philosophy of VisionLabs is that the work we do is in matching faces. We don't manage the channels. Like, we don't provide this functionality that DW Spectrum has, right? And customers obviously paid for it already. So what's the point of us charging per channel when we do nothing with channel except for getting it from DW Spectrum, right? So in our case, we try to stick to the database size model as much as we can, although we do have a lot of interesting licensing approaches and various approaches implemented with the customers all over the world, from per channel licensing to monthly cost to whatever other possible licensing methods, including revenue sharing, that the customer is willing or ready to understand and to consume. Because, for example, we had cases when customer said that they don't have money to spend to put the face recognition system into CapEx. They had OpEx, so they were willing to go for the subscription, and we don't care. As long as it meets our expectations and customer budget, we will go for it. But the baseline is the database size, yes. Imagine you have a building with 1,000 employees. We don't care if you have 10 cameras, 50 cameras, or 500 cameras. On all cameras, you will get our system running, as long as you have the appropriate hardware scaled up according to the hardware calculation that I'm sharing the screen of right now.
Okay. And then as far as you install the Luna SDK, the Luna platform itself, and then you install the Luna plugin. The Luna plugin gets installed on each server that's running Spectrum. So if you're in a Spectrum system that is multi-server, where you've got 3 servers joined together, merged together as a single system, you need to install the plugin on each of the 3 servers that are running the Spectrum server. So it's not necessarily the Luna software that's running on the Spectrum server, it's the plugin that's running on the server. Do I have that right?
Yes, that's exactly correct, because you may have one instance of Luna platform, which will be processing all incoming requests from the plugin, and then you will be displaying it across your multi-cluster implementation.
Okay, great. So I'm going to slide back over here. We're just hitting right about the 1 hour mark here. I think I got to most of the questions in there. If you the questions about can you install it yourselves? Yes, you can install it yourselves. Michael's contact information is back here at the beginning of the presentation.
Yeah, actually installing the thing is pretty easy. What we also do is we help partners remotely to handle all the questions. If you need some WhatsApp group, Skype group to be created, not to assist you to get the system running, let's do it. Like email, let's do it. You want to have a remote connection, let's do it. It's in our interest to have the system running. So, and we do understand that in many cases also the first testing stage is actually happening not in the lab by the engineers. It's by the product managers or guys who are not that well with the hardware systems, software, etc. So we will assist with any possible measure to have the system running for any company willing to test it.
Okay. Yep. So you can reach out to Michael. He can get you the plugin and assistance as far as getting it set up, and you can test it out and run it as a trial and try it out. Again, you want to be running DW Spectrum 4.0 and above. When we release 4.1, you'll definitely want to update to that. So any of the other questions that we have not gotten to, we'll try to answer by email. Kind of try to wrap this up here. We do have a number of additional webinars coming up. If you check our website out, you'll find in the upcoming webinar page, we have quite a few of the webinars in this series, as well as some additional webinars on some additional products coming up this month. So we've got a full calendar, including towards the beginning of June, we'll do the sneak peek for the 4.1 version that's coming out here shortly. People are asking for a phone number for Mike. Probably the best way to reach out to Mike at this point, as said, he's over in Europe. What you want to do is hit him up on your email, and he can come back to you with Skype and WhatsApp and so forth.
American phone number. You want to just write that down?
No. He will share it.
Sure.
Yeah, share it via email.
Yeah, we'll share it. We'll share it via email with everybody, and so that it's kind of a follow-up to this. Okay. Gotcha. Appreciate everybody's time and effort in terms of getting on the webinar. Hopefully you got some value out of it, and we look forward to working with you on using this solution. All right. Everybody have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having us. Happy Cinco de Mayo.